And now, you're tuned into RBLR, the home of Tampa Bay's RBLR Sports.
This is the RBLR Rays podcast. I'm your host, Zach Dobb, along with my co-host, Pat Davenport. Pat, I don't know about you, but it's cold over here.
Yeah, it's pretty cold over here too. I think last week we got to like 20 Fahrenheit. Ugh. It was not good. Do not come to the UK right now. It is not the best advert for it right now. I'm sure in the US it's no good either.
No, and just to emphasize that, the music was just emphasizing just how
cold it is. Yeah. I've got a fun thing for you, Zach. Okay. Before we get going, I've got breaking news from Mark Topkin.
Okay, I'm ready for it.
He's released his Hall of Fame ballot.
Which I'm sure is I actually do. Okay. I'm sure I don't remember who's on the ballot. Just tell me.
Yeah, he's only crossed in 2 names.
He's always he's a small hall guy, Mark is.
He is a small hall guy. He's usually kind of based, but I've never had too much trouble with Topkin's ballots. I do this year. So He has circled 2 names, Carlos Beltran and Andrew Jones.
Okay. I mean, I think both those guys should be in the Hall of Fame. So, fair enough, I guess. But, I can't. Who else is on the ballot this year? I kind of have not been following it.
It's not a strong ballot, to be fair. Yeah. Depending on how you stand, you could go for A-Rod if you depending on where you stand on him.
I kind of feel like he did his time. I kind of feel like he got caught. They punished him. I don't know. I would vote for A-Rod. You could vote for Cole Hamels. Cole Hamels is probably the strongest new entrant to the ballot. After that, you've got Bobby Abreu, who's kind of been somewhere around the maybe category for a while. And then other than that, it's pretty weak. You could vote Andy Pettitte if you wanted. You could vote Felix Hernandez if you wanted. I would vote for Felix Hernandez.
Yeah, he's a funny one because he was at his peak. He was the best, but he really fell off.
I feel like if you are a player, and this is my, I think I've said this take before. We talked about this a lot with Zobrist, and also we've talked about it with Longo as well. I believe if you are ever the best player at your position, you should be strongly considered for the Hall. And I think it's Felix Hernandez was the best pitcher in baseball for 2 seasons there. Pretty, and they were on bad teams, and he has a lot of losses, but he was an incredible pitcher on a bad team. And I think I always say, can you tell the story of baseball without this player? And I don't feel like you can tell the story of baseball without Felix Hernandez.
I can agree with that. I'm a big fan of that last take of the can you tell the story of baseball without him? I guess you could go with Dustin Pedroia. He's on the ballot as well. But my view is if Ben Zobrist got swamped out straight away, I think Dustin Pedroia doesn't deserve much better than that.
Dustin Pedroia was not better than Ben Zobrist. So if Ben Zobrist can't be on it, then neither can Dustin Pedroia.
I think it's a crime that Ben Zobrist only got 2% of the vote or whatever when he got on.
I don't understand it. I genuinely don't understand. It's that one of the more I don't know how you can be a fan of the way modern baseball and appreciate the utility position and appreciate what he did and how he was really good. He wasn't just oh, look at this guy, he's great, he plays all. He was a 6-7 WAR player when he was in prime.
The problem was
get it twisted.
He didn't do anything eye-popping numbers-wise, but he just did everything really well. He was the ultimate all-rounder. He would steal 20 bases, hit 20 home runs, hit 280. And then field really well. People forget how good of a fielder he was, particularly at second base and right field.
He was a Gold Glove caliber fielder. And of course, because he played around so many locations, I don't think he ever got a Gold Glove.
I don't think he did because they introduced the utility awards probably in honor of him.
I was about to say, and I wonder who influenced them to do that. And it's because he created a position. So again, talk about telling the story. He literally created an archetype for players, and like the architect problem, like it existed, but he was like the first to say, not only can this be done, but it can be done well, and it can be a position of value, and not just like whoever your AAA guy is, you got to be able to play a bunch of positions. Like he was able to do it in a high level and create that sort of niche, and then not have quite a bit to discuss. A couple of weeks ago, we requested some more Rays news, and we were granted it. Whether we liked it or not, we were granted it, and so we're going to talk about it. And we are glad that all of you are here joining us. We appreciate you. If this is your first time joining us, we're so glad to have you guys, and we hope you enjoy. If you're coming back, if you've enjoyed before, you continue to enjoy, do us a huge favor and drop us a subscribe or a follow on wherever you're enjoying the show. Helps us out a bunch. It's free. It just shows us that you enjoy the show, and it lets you know when we're going live. And we really appreciate all y'all. If you got any thoughts, I'm sure everybody who watching this is going to have thoughts on what we're going to discuss today. And if you do, drop them over on YouTube. We'd love to hear from you guys. So let's get right into it. Josh Lowe is no longer a Ray.
Josh Lowe is no longer a Ray in what was quite a surprising move, I think.
Yeah.
In this ever shifting, ever morphing outfield situation that has happened over this offseason, where we've churned through, I think, like 8 outfielders this offseason. Like, it's really who knows where we're going to end up. Who knows if this is even the finished product for the outfield yet.
Yeah.
But it was a 3-way trade. The main thing that you need to know is that Josh Lowe went to the Angels. And they got Chris Clark back from the Angels, a right-handed starter who's kind of around AA level. And they also received a Ben Zobrist type the past couple of years in terms of his utility, and former top prospect Gavin Lux.
Yeah. And I mean, Lux was a big name, like not that long ago. Was kind of seen, for a while, he was like the future of the catching position for the Dodgers. And then he kind of wasn't very good at catching, but then he became kind of a utility guy. And while he has not yet ever lived up to the expectations that were set out for him as a top prospect, he has also not flamed out. He's been a pretty good league average type bat with a little bit of upside there. And so a really interesting move made on the heels of like the move everybody has been waiting for all off season, which was kind of funny that those moves just came back to back with Kyle Tucker going to the Dodgers. And then surely it was like within 2 minutes, this move got announced right afterwards. So kind of interesting timing on that as well.
Yeah. Jeff Passan, busy that night.
Busy 5 minutes or so for Jeff.
Yeah, I wonder how that comes. Do you reckon that was purposeful that they announced it right after Kyle Tucker, or do you reckon it was pure coincidence?
I feel like it has to be pure coincidence, because if the optics were supposed to be like, because I don't think anybody in that trade is like, look what we did, like this is the greatest thing. It's because like we'll talk about it, but none of these players are like. I mean, I will say that I do quite like the Chris Clark, the pitcher we got, but none of these players are like world beater players here. So I can't imagine it was like, look what we did. I think it was coincidence.
Yeah, it's gonna be. I mean, the Dodgers got Kyle Tucker, and their crosstown rivals responded in kind with Josh Lowe. I guess we should start with Josh Lowe.
We should.
Because he's probably I think him and Gavin Lux have similar resumes.
Yeah.
In terms of like, I don't think one is like the main piece moving. I don't think Josh Lowe, like, it wasn't like when we traded Shane Baz, right? Where he was like the main piece traded, or when we traded Brandon Lau, where there were a lot of pieces moving, but everyone was like, Brandon Lau's the headliner. Do you think Josh Lowe is the headliner in that trade, or is it just for us Rays fans? How do you consider Josh Lowe's stock as we say goodbye to him?
So I think there's kind of two Joshes out there. And I've got kind of a graphic to show that off here. You've got two Josh Lowes that we've experienced as Rays fans, and that has been out there in Major League Baseball. The first Josh Lowe is the Josh Lowe before his oblique injury. And if you're listening and not watching, up on the screen here, I've got a statistical comparison of him before and after the oblique. Games played, he's played about 70 more games since the oblique injury. It's about a 50-point difference in WRC plus from a 130 before the oblique. And by the way, this is including his like less than stellar beginning to his career. As a Ray, that it was just kind of okay. And then, of course, the really, really good 2023 that we've all been chasing back to. It's about a 120-point difference in slug. Stolen bases are still kind of there, but the FWAR then also becomes like a 2.4 difference between before and after the oblique injury. And so the question you asked is, who's the headliner of this deal? I think it's Josh Lowe, because as much as like we're going to talk about Gavin Lux and what he could bring to this team, Gavin has never had 135 games where he played like that. He has never had a period where he was a all-star, because that's all-star caliber right there. 130 WRC plus, over it was right at a 500 slug, stealing 30 bags, 3.4 F4. That's like an all-star type guy that you're talking about there. If you extrapolate that over a whole like 150 games, you're talking a 4 WAR player, 4 F4 player. That's an all-star caliber player. And so the part that brings it into question, obviously, is the fact that he has not been able to get anywhere near back to that form. And the reason that I brought up I included stolen bases in this statistical comparison here is to just kind of, let it be known that clearly, in my opinion, he never fully recovered from the oblique in the terms of his swing. He just hasn't been able to get back there. But that being said, he still provides some value, maybe not in the center, which is apparently where they want to try to play him. So I guess we'll see. But he provides some value in the outfield from a defensive perspective, and he provides real value from a stolen base perspective. He can steal you like 25 bags a year pretty much with his eyes closed. And so if he can find a way to get back to even a fraction of this form with the defensive value he provides, I think he then becomes that headliner. And I think the fact that the Rays ended up with a pitcher in addition to Gavin Lux, to me says that he is the key piece of this trade. And leaves me coming away with a feeling of just sort of unknown and of kind of a what it could have been with Josh Lowe. Yeah.
And the oblique it's a funny one. It can come back a lot. It's not one that is a freak injury. It's one that once it starts, it can keep coming back. And it has on a couple of occasions kind of got to him. And I think for me, the biggest thing that affected him from the oblique injury was his bat speeds never quite got back to where it was. Mm-hmm. If you look at his bat speed from 2023, which was his big breakout year, it was 79th percentile. It was in the upper echelons. He could really swing it. And this year, where he was mostly healthy, it was only in the 55th percentile. It went down to kind of like league average bat speed. And the problem is his bat to ball ability was never good enough, where he's not like Jake Mangan, where he manipulates the bat really easily and we all knew that Josh Lowe had a weakness of getting to velocity up in the zone.
Right.
In 2023, he got himself to a position where he was getting to that far more.
Yeah.
But with the oblique injury, less mobility, that fraction of less speed, the bat can't get there anymore. And that weakness is, again, so easily exploitable for pitchers. And that turns him from a 130 WRC plus to like a guy that you might expect to hover around 100. And he wasn't even that last year. So could he be fine next year? Like, could he have made a full recovery and get himself back up there? Maybe. He's still not that old. He's only 27.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, negative WAR last year, over 100 games.
Doesn't work.
you see the upside in him, but like you don't want to field a guy that in a 100-game sample put up negative WAR.
Yeah.
That shouldn't be your banker.
Yeah. So I guess my kind of follow-up question to you is, do you think this was the right move by Eric Neander to kind of punt on Josh Lowe and say, we think this isn't going to work out, and try to lean instead on some of the other outfield, which we'll get to. There's another outfield acquisition that at the time that that acquisition, I didn't think much of, but now seems to be pretty poignant when you see what the move that was made.
Yeah, I think it's interesting because I've been on record saying Josh Lowe's on fraud watch this year.
Yeah,
where like he's gonna get the start of the year, and if he can't put it together in 6 weeks, he's. But turns out the Rays we're not even gonna wait that long, and I'm excited about Jacob Melton, personally, and I think this now opens the door for Jacob Melton to play immediately. And Jacob Melton is like a faster, more powerful Josh Lowe with the same kind of concerns about swing and miss at times, but a higher ceiling, I think, at this point in his career, and a healthier Josh Lowe.
Yeah.
So I'm on the Jacob Melton train. I think there's super good upside on him, and I'm happy to let him open the door, and I'll explain why a bit more in a minute, but the upshot is I think this is not a year where the Rays are actively pushing to make the playoffs. I think this is a year where... go on.
So your other takeaway from this is that you feel like this is a bridge type of year for the Rays.
Yes, I do. And I don't think it was the Josh Lowe trade that necessarily cemented that, but them going, right, we want to open the door for Melton helped that a little bit to me, where they're like, right, we want to bank on all these guys we're going to move out everyone apart from the sure things, which are Yandy, Caminero, and Aranda. They're like, right, let's completely redo this lineup and let's see what sticks and run with what sticks. Yeah. So I think I don't think it's going to be a Marlins, Orioles, White Sox, Rockies, even Tigers type of rebuild where we're going to be stuck in the cellar for 5 years. But I do think this is right. We've got to get a new core together because the last one's hit its expiry date. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's interesting that you point that out, because I was thinking about this before before we started recording today. I remember us getting on here and having a conversation, maybe it was like a year and a half ago or so, talking about the core of this team. And we had a conversation about whether Josh Lowe was a part of that or not. And I pretty confidently said that he was. And now the only member of that core that's still on the team is Junior.
Yandy?
Well, we did say, I can't remember if we, Yandy obviously is I guess, I can't remember if we said that Yandy was a part of the core or not, only because he's older. But I feel like we were talking about from the perspective of guys who are going to be around, because we talked about Isak, we talked about JLowe, we talked about Caminero, we talked about there's somebody else we talked about. I guess we did talk about Yandy and Brandon Lau as guys who are the problem with this team.
The problem with Yandy was that he, and probably isn't now a little bit, but even then was just every offseason and trade deadline, it was are the Rays going to trade him? So we weren't sure. Yeah. It was hard to be sure whether he was sticking around.
Yeah. And so now it's just Yandy and Junior left of that group. And it seems like there's a chance that Isak is going to come back to the division in the form of a Red Sox uniform, which I would not enjoy very much at all. And so it does feel like, I feel like we've said this a couple of times this offseason, but it truly feels like an end of an era of Rays baseball. It feels like a transition from whatever it was, whatever you want to call this year, this span from 2020, maybe even 2018, 2019 to 2025 was a period of Rays baseball. And there are some guys that are still around from that time, but we have transitioned into a new time, the time of Junior Caminero, of Carson Williams, of Ryan Pepio, and it'll be very interesting to see how long it takes this version of the Rays to try to get back to where we were in that previous era. Because I'm not convinced it's going to be a quick turnaround.
See, I am convinced it's going to be a quick turnaround, and that's because I think we've already got a good start. Aranda and Caminero are a great start, and so is Carson Williams, right?
Yeah.
And then Jacob Melton's just been added to that mix.
Yeah.
I think in 2026 we may see an appearance from some of the pitching prospects. I think maybe someone like Brody Hopkins may end up up on the team on 2026. You could look at Michael Foray. You could also see some of the other people acquired over the past couple of off seasons make moves up where they're up by 2027. People like Aaron Amo, who had a great Venezuelan league season. Players like what's the guy that's not Brody Hopkins that we got in the Arozarena trade that was also really good? Aiden Smith.
Yeah, Aiden Smith.
I think he's a guy that could rise through the ranks really quickly. I think we've got the players coming up the pipeline.
Yeah.
And I'll point you to 2017 to 2019. 2017 was the last year with Evan Longoria. It was we got rid of Corey Dickerson, new first base coach, Corey Dickerson. We really moved on from a lot of players. I think we moved on from Steven Souza that year.
Logan Morrison, I think also was moved on from that year.
So they tore it down a lot in 2017, and people were like, right, the Rays are now going into a rebuild. In 2018, we fielded the likes of Malik Smith and
Daniel Robertson.
Christian Arroyo.
Christian Arroyo. I remember.
I think we had some. I think that was the year we brought in G-Man Choi.
That's true. Rays legend G-Man Choi.
Brandon Lau hadn't even been called up yet.
True.
In 2018, they won 90 games.
Yeah.
In 2018, they won 90 games, and then in 2019, they suddenly became like a real contender. Yeah. That's how quickly you can turn a team around. And we're making a lot of moves right now.
It's true.
And I think if Eric Neander really wants to, he can accelerate a rebuild really quickly. We also now have, if we want to go really aggressive, the prospect capital to shore up whatever's needed. Once we've kind of decided on what our new core pieces are going to be. And I think we only need a couple more. And I really hope Melton is one of those core pieces. And I think we can turn it around in 2 years. I think next year's going to be rough, but I think 2027, we could be back on the train for wildcard.
I will say, I do feel like this team is an impact outfield bat away. And I feel that's what I've been saying this, I feel like since last season. And there's been a bunch of guys that we've thought were going to do that. And I do genuinely believe, because the infield is good enough. The pitching staff is, because I think I am kind of with you that the infield is good enough and is only going to get better. Ditto for the pitching staff and the bullpen. The thing that is holding me back from believing is that I felt like that was the case last year too. And because of just how bad the outfield was, it's making me hesitant. So if you're right that Jacob Melton is going to be able to make that happen, if Chandler Simpson takes the next step and continues to be, defensively what we need him to be, and can, continue to do what he was doing with the bat and with his legs, if we can get someone in the Justin Henry Malloy, Johnny DeLuca, Jake Fraley, Ryan Valade, someone in that group, Cedric Mullins, someone in that group can step up, then I'm kind of ready to, I think I could get there. I think I don't know that and I don't necessarily think, I think highly of Jacob Melton as well. I'm just very much, I think I just have a block right now for outfielders where I'm like, I need to see it to believe it. right now with outfielders, because we just, and Palacios is going to be in that conversation too, in the infield and the outfield. And so I just feel like right now I need to see some production, because we've been sold a bill of goods for the last 2 seasons, I feel like, on the outfield. And it's really since Randy left, we've been sold a bill of goods on what the outfield could be. And it just hasn't come true. And so I'm in wait and see mode.
Sure. I get that. I totally understand, because the front office have not had a spotless record the past few years. They really pushed their eggs into the Christopher Morel basket, and that really didn't work. I think this time, though, they're taking a more shotgun approach, being like, if we get a bunch of like decent guys, at least one of them will play at Major League average or better. And sometimes that's all it takes. Do you want to talk about Gavin Lux for a minute?
I do. But before I talk about Gavin Lux, we've been talking a lot about sure things and trying to find a sure thing, because the outfield for the Rays has not been. And when I feel like I just need a sure thing and I don't want to have to worry about it, there's a place that I can always go, and that's shop.rblrsports.com. I know every time I click that link and I navigate to that webpage, I'm going to find the best merch inspired by all of my favorite Tampa sports teams: Rowdies, Bucks, Lightning, Rays, Sun. It's all there on shop.rblrsports.com. And if you go there, you can use promo code FLAPPY, FLAPPY, for 10% off your entire order. And you should, because it's great stuff, and it's never going to let you down.
100%. The surest thing out there. It's like signing Kyle Tucker, but instead of for $60 million a year, it's like $20.
Yeah.
And that includes shipping.
It does include shipping. Speaking of $20, he's worth more than $20. But Gavin Lux, who we just acquired in this trade for Josh Lowe, in concert with Chris Clark, seems to be, especially in the way that Eric Neander has discussed him, seems to be a future and maybe a present plan for the second base position, which I had assumed kind of going into this offseason was going to be going to Richie Palacios. And so that kind of made me think a little bit about, okay, if they're going to move right to Gavin Lux, how do I feel about that? And I kind of got a graphic to tell you the way that I feel about it. And I'd like to get your take on this too. Who's on second? Is it Gavin Lux? Is it Richie Palacios? Over between 2025 for Gavin Lux and 24 and 25 for Richie, because he's been hurt. A quick comparison here. So on the left side, you got Gavin, right, Richie. 140 games played for Gavin, 109 games played for Richie. Richie got him beat in WRC plus at 106. He's also got him beaten on base percentage. Lux has Richie beat in slugging at 374 slugging, which isn't that great, but it is better than what Richie has done. Richie's got Gavin beat in stolen bases by a comfortable margin and an F-WAR. And obviously, like, Gavin Lux has him beat. I didn't put it on here. I kind of wrapped it into slugging, but Gavin Lux does have more like home runs and RBIs than Richie over this period. And I'm left kind of confused, honestly, with this decision. Are you confused, or is it just me? Am I just confused?
So I'm so glad you brought this up, because I was going to say this. Hey, Eric Neander, have I got a proposition for you? Do you like Richie Palacios' swing decisions, his excellent plate discipline, the ability to make contact and keep your strikeout rate low? Do you like the way that he does a little bit of everything? He doesn't, well, do you know what's better than one Richie Palacios? Two Richie Palacioses. We have got essentially the exact same hitting profile here. These guys do the exact same thing as a hitter. They don't supply a lot of power. They make really good swing decisions, can draw walks really well, low strikeout rates.
Yep.
They do the exact same thing as a hitter.
Yeah.
Gavin Lux has had more home runs than Palacios, but I'd also say that Gavin Lux has had more playing time. think the one thing you should look at is that bottom number of F4, and you go, huh? The reason is last year, Gavin Lux was one of the worst fielders in the league.
Yeah.
He was really bad. But also, it's worth mentioning that last season, he played the majority of his games in the field in left field.
Mm.
When he was with the Reds last year, he was like, he kind of got the Christopher Morel treatment where he played a bit at second, but he also played a bit at third and then played a bit of left field. And then they were like, quick, DH this guy. And when I sell it like that, it sounds really bad. I was like, wow, imagine Christopher Morel's fielding and put it with Richie Palacios' hitting. But I think it's important to know that Gavin Lux was banged up last season. He was banged up, and therefore his sprint speed was down. He wasn't able, and because usually his sprint speed's up in the like 80th percentile, but the past couple of years it's been in the like 60th. So he's banged up. He's not quite as athletic as he used to be. I still think there's a second baseman in there. I don't think you should play him in the corner outfield. I don't think you should play him in the outfield.
Yeah.
I still think there's a second baseman in there. They're both lefty hitters. I think it's, again, hedging the bets. Going, right, Palacios, we like him, but he's got injured quite a lot. Like, 110 games in 2 seasons. 55 games a year. That's not great.
No.
Gavin Lux is like, okay, well, if Richie Palacios goes down, we've got a second one.
Yeah.
And it might be that we start with Gavin Lux and then transition to Richie Palacios. It might be a battle in spring training.
Yeah.
But I think this is what the decision was. They were like, right, we want Richie Palacios, but weren't convinced about his health. Okay, let's get another one. That's, I think,
I can get behind that. I can get behind that. I definitely would, and I think it's obvious, by the way, that I introduced this graphic, is that I think Richie Palacios is better than Gavin Lux. However, I also put some things on there to point out that Gavin Lux does have, the ability to stay healthy, which is the one thing Richie hasn't been able to do. And so the best ability is availability. It just is. And so I don't begrudge the Rays for making this move because of everything you just said so well, that they need to have some certainty there. You can't move on from Brandon Lowe and not have somebody you're confident in going out to play second base every day. You can't go from the top 3 second basemen in baseball to just throw somebody out there. You can't do that. It's just that I guess you could, but it would not be good for the morale of the team or the construction of the roster. And so I can't get behind bringing Gavin Lux in for that reason. I'm just curious to see. Now, one of the things that Richie does have that I don't believe, let me check on this. I do not believe Gavin Lux. Oh, no. Yeah, I'm right. Gavin Lux does not have any options left, whereas Richie Palacios does have options left. And so that gives them the option to be more flexible with him going into the season. And so I imagine that was also a contributing factor to this decision, is that we can be confident in Gavin. And if there's injury issues with Richie, we feel like we can allow him to move up and down, as opposed to Gavin, where you move him, you lose him.
Yeah, I completely agree with everything you said. I think it's an interesting trade. I think if you're not going to go get Ketel Marte, the best you can do is just get a guy out there that's solid. And I think Gavin Lux is the Jake Fraley of Brandon Lowe's, where he'll be fine. He'll be completely serviceable out there. Brandon Lowe wasn't exactly lighting the world on fire with his fielding anyway.
No, he was not.
So I think we'll see a bit of a downgrade power-wise for sure at the position. But I don't think it's going to be, hopefully, too painful of a transition. If you really need fielding late in a game, you could always have Williams and Walls up the middle to kind of close out a game if you're winning.
Yeah. And the thing that's kind of one other thing I will say that's sort of interesting about this is that Gavin Lux makes $5 million a year. Now he's only under contract for this season. He's a free agent in 2027. So it's kind of an interesting case with him as far as, is this really just sort of a prove it 1 year? Like, if we like him, we'll extend him. And if not, we'll just dump him. And I wonder if they are seeing it that way, because in their mind, there are options at second base. You know, we've mentioned a couple of them even just in the past couple of minutes, guys that are prospects that could take this spot. We haven't even talked much this episode about Ryan Vilade, who was also in a lot of our conversations about that, or another guy that was recently acquired in Brett Wisely, who is also a candidate for some playing time at second. So there's a long list of guys, like you mentioned earlier, sort of the shotgun approach to the outfield. That kind of seems like what they're doing with second base too. There's a lot of guys who are currently that are currently out there that could play, and not even to speak of guys like Braden Taylor or Jalen Battles. Like there's a lot of guys out there that could be playing second base. So it's going to be interesting to see how there's going to be a lot to watch come spring training.
100%. I think how the outfield shakes out and who gets the second base job are the two big ones to watch. 100%. Quick note on that. We traded Ken Wald. We acquired Ken Waldichuk and Brett Wisely from the Atlanta Braves for cash. How often do two players get traded in for one cash?
That seems quite rare, at least to me. And they never really do they ever say like how much cash? I feel like we never find out how much cash.
You never find out how much.
It's just cash.
Unless it's
like $10 million, and we'll never know.
The only way you find out is when it's like, say, like when Arenado got traded and they were like, we're eating this much of the contract.
Right.
When it's like that kind of trade, you find out. But when it's just like, just
cash considerations. Okay.
Yeah.
I need someone to trade me some cash considerations. I need to figure out how to do that.
Yeah, we need to figure that out. I mean, Brett Wisely is a bit Taylor Walsley. I mean, a former Rays prospect. Can I mention?
Mm-hmm. You've heard his name before, probably at some point.
Yeah, he's a bit Walsy, like not really good enough to be a major league hitter, but really good at fielding.
Yeah.
One of the better fielding second basemen. So he could be an option if we're in a pinch at some point. I don't think you'd want him starting on the major league team, but if you're like really stuck, you could get him. He basically took Sung Chae Cheng's spot as the like emergency middle infielder.
Yeah.
Do you remember Sir Chae Cheng, the glorious like 4 days we had with him on the roster?
Hey, we've had a couple of guys like that. The most extended of that ilk that I enjoyed the most was Yu Chang. I'll always remember Yu Chang very fondly.
Yu Chang. I'll always remember when you randomly balled out for a bit when Wanda got hurt.
Yes.
And then also then did really well for, was it Taiwan?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. In the World Baseball Classic. I wonder if he's going back with them this time.
I think he is. I think so.
Yeah. And then the other move worth noting that we did, apart from losing Osvaldo Bido, who we did acquire in December, he went off. He got DFA'd and went off to the Marlins. Because Bendix and Neander share a mind. But we also got Justin Henry Malloy from the Detroit Tigers. Yeah. He's a bit Richie Palacios-y as well. Yeah. But an out and out right fielder. Like he's right field. Again, not much power. Really good discipline though. Like barely ever chases, gets a lot of walks, but again, not much to his actual bat, and kind of like major league average fielding wise.
It seems to me that there's been a concerted effort to have a lot of really solid backup options, because there's been some acknowledgement, I think, by the front office that some of these guys like Johnny DeLuca, like Richie Palacios, just have had injury troubles. And so I think the idea is to have good, solid options that are not going to like cost you baseball games for all these positions, so that when the injuries come, that they've got that sort of stocked up. And that's something that they have done frequently. And I feel like just over the course of the last couple of years, some of that depth has just been churned through of guys coming up and making their debuts and all that. And so it does feel like they've done some things to, injury proof the roster a little bit over the past couple of weeks.
Yeah. With all that said, who do you think is going to start on opening day in the outfield as of today, the 19th of January?
So are you asking me who I think Kevin Cash and Eric Neander are going to put out there, or who I want to start out there?
No, who do you think will start?
Who do you think who do I think will? I think it will be Johnny DeLuca in center. I think it's going to end up being Ryan Valade in, let's say, left field. And then Cedric Mullins in right.
Interesting. I almost have you. I have Mullins in left,
okay.
And I have Melton in right.
You have Melton in right. Okay.
But subject to change. Like Jake Fraley's still very much in that mix as well. Like correct. I wouldn't be surprised if he got the opening day nod just because he's a veteran.
Yeah.
And they let Melton cook in AAA for a little bit.
Yeah.
And what to do with Chandler Simpson throughout all this?
Yeah. My current feeling is that it will be Chandler and Melton starting the season in AAA. And I didn't mention Fraley, but I think he's the number one guy off the bench. I think him and Valade kind of swap there. And my thought is that they're going to let those guys try it out while you get consistent day in, day out. Like those, Melton and Simpson are your starting right and left fielder or whatever, or maybe they'll let Simpson start in center. I don't know. But those guys are out there every day down in AAA getting those reps. And then you try out some of these veterans and see if any of them can stick. And if they don't, whenever you're ready to give up on them, you start bringing up the young guys who've been starting every day and getting those reps, as opposed to having them kind of sit the bench and oscillate with some of the veterans. That's how I think it'll go. But I also would not be shocked to see either Melton or Simpson out there opening day.
Yeah, they tend to not like the guys that they believe in riding the bench. Like once they call them up, they want to play them, unless you're Curtis Mead. So I agree. The only other Rays news I've got before we head out is just the international signing.
International, correct. Yeah.
Yeah. Highlighted, I guess, the main guy to talk about in that class is 17-year-old shortstop Victor Valdez. He was considered by MLB Pipeline to be the number 11 prospect internationally in the class. Athletic guy, has a good arm, but mainly the main selling point of him is he's got some really good power.
I kept hearing thrown around the 25 homer potential in the bat is what I kept hearing being thrown around.
Yeah, he's got good power, has a good arm. Will he stick at shortstop? Not sure. May end up being a third baseman, but toolsy, and they gave him a massive signing bonus.
Wasn't it? I think it was $5.4 million. If I'm not
mistaken. It was big. It was the second biggest bonus they've ever handed out.
It was a lot.
I won't tell you the name of the guy.
We know who the other guy was.
Yeah.
If that's any indication, now I'm not even going to talk about it. It's going to make me upset. But anyway, it feels like they don't give that money away for no reason. And it's not lost on me that they signed quite a large international class. They signed 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys in the international class. Let's see, 2 outfilders, 2 pitchers, a catcher, and then 3 shortstops.
Were some of the guys related? Because we got Brian Rodriguez and Gregory Rodriguez, and we also got Davison Blanco and Fabricio Blanco.
I don't know.
Are they related?
Maybe.
Yeah. Who knows?
Could be.
Shout out to the Blanco brothers. That sounds cool. Wouldn't you want Blanco brothers on your team?
The brothers Blanco.
Yeah, right.
I feel like there's something there.
Yeah, there's a T-shirt in that.
There's a T-shirt somewhere. Hey, maybe they'll play well enough to be on the team at the same time. That'd be pretty cool.
write that down, Eureka, for future reference.
Yeah. So interesting signing period. I am very interested in how much the Rays spent on Victor Valdez. That seems like notable to me. In all of the other conversations we have had around the way money is being used by the team in this current iteration, I'm very interested to see what happens. He will be someone I watch closely.
100%.
Yeah.
And the Rays are looking for catchers actively. They pursued JT Realmuto. Obviously, he ended up re-signing with the Phillies for another 3 years. For 3 years, $45 million. The Rays were like, nope, not that much. But they are looking for catchers, which interests me because I thought they were kind of set with Fortes and Fiducia.
So did I, and I got to tell you, I am like super glad. And again, the odds of JT Realmuto listening to this podcast are probably 0%. So please don't take this personally. But I think he's kind of washed. And like obviously he's still one of the like 200 best people to ever play baseball or something like that. I don't know. He's a really good baseball player, but I don't think that he's worth $15 million a year. I just don't think so. And I am okay with us not spending money there for a guy that I think his best days are behind him.
And honestly, looking at the free agent catcher market, at least, it's kind of thin. So Realmuto signed, Victor Caratini signed, Danny Jansen, we're not bringing him back, but he signed. James McCann signed. So then if you go by WAR, the best catcher who put up WAR last year was Christian Vasquez, who's 35, and he put up 1 F-WAR last year.
I'm pretty good on Christian Vasquez. That's okay.
And yeah, if you're not going for him, your next options are like Elias Diaz, Reese McGuire, Gary Sanchez.
And it seems like the buzz has been that they're trying to trade for someone, which again, we talked about. They brought in they have a bunch of prospect capital at this point. And so it would be interesting. I don't really know who they're looking at. There hasn't been really any names thrown out there. There's nobody that I'm like itching to go get necessarily, because I mean, I think most of the guys that are really good are not available. There's one guy that I'm like, I have like a little bit of a question mark in my head, and I don't know if this team is ready to give up on him yet because of how highly touted he was and what it felt like he meant to that organization. But I'm just going to be really curious to see where a certain Orioles catcher starts the season. I don't know. I'm just thinking about that. Just thinking.
Interesting.
I'm just thinking.
Interesting. I'm trying to look at current catchers just around. I guess the Yankees, like if you want to play, you could technically play Ben Rice at catcher. I feel like he could be traded. And then you're looking at like, I don't know, Sean Murphy. I remember his name getting banned around the trade block at one point.
I feel like we talked about Sean Murphy to the Rays a good bit at one point.
Well, they were in on him when he was at the A's as well, before he went to the Braves. And I think they've been in on him a couple of other occasions.
I think
they do
you're
like
right
him.
about that. Yeah.
They do really like him.
Maybe.
So yeah, we'll see. We'll see if next week we acquire Will Smith and Ketel Marte. Cool. Yeah.
Either one of those would be good with me.
And sign Cody Bellinger.
Yeah. I'm ready for baseball again. I am lucky that I have my American football team is playing quite well, and I am excited about the end of the potential way that their season might end. But I'm ready to start. I'm ready to start watching baseball again. I've reached the point. Like I think more like this. It took me longer to get to this point than it has in other ops because I was pretty bummed out. I got to be honest with you guys. I was pretty bummed at the end of last season. I was pretty bummed out. But I'm ready. I'm ready to be hurt again.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Bring on the new season. I think it's because last season we had quite high expectations of the team, and it didn't. Yeah, and I think this year our expectations are a bit more cautious. So I think that allows us to be less hurt by whatever happens.
Yeah, I think one of my I can't remember if I said this is my New Year's resolution or not, but one of my New Year's resolutions is that I'm never ever picking the Rays to win the World Series until they get back to at least the CS again. So just putting that out there.
Right. The Rays are undefeated in championship series. Did you know?
That's true. I hadn't thought about it that way.
Well,
so
atrocious. We're atrocious in division series.
Yeah.
But in the championship
and also bad
series,
in the wild card, I feel like.
Yeah.
Well, maybe okay. Maybe okay.
I think we're okay because we beat.
Yeah.
Was it Cleveland or was it Texas in 2013?
I think it was Texas.
Because one of them was a game 163, and then we played the wild card game right after. It was one of those two. We won that one. We won the wild card game against that series against the Blue Jays in 2020.
Correct.
But then I think we lost wild card series to the Guardians and the Rangers. So I think we're 2-2.
Yeah. That I don't think I don't know if I'm ever going to get over that Guardians one. That one was that
sucks.
That was one of the most
painful. And the Rangers won. The Rangers won too because we were a good team in 2023.
We were
and we did beat the A's in the 2019 wildcard game as well. So I think we're 3-2 in wildcards. But the division series is not good. We're like 2-8.
But when we get those two, go to the World Series. So
yeah, we'll take it. Who cares that we're 0-2 in the World Series?
Listen, I will take if we can just get to the division series. I'll be happy. I feel like we're in good shape. Whether or not we get to the division series, we're going to be here talking about it, and we hope that you'll be here with us too. If you enjoyed the show today, we hope that you did. And if you did, do us a massive favor, dropping us a subscribe, dropping us a like, just letting us know over on YouTube if you got some comments, you got some thoughts on everything we said today. We'd love to hear from you guys. I could not have predicted this offseason. If you had asked me if we sat here on, the third week of January where this roster would be, I would have never in a million years guessed what has happened. And so I'm kind of done trying to predict what's going to happen throughout the rest of this offseason.
Yeah, me too. But whatever happens, I feel like we'll still be saying two particular words.
I think we will. And I hope that when we say those two particular words, and like Pat just said, we're going to be saying them all off season long, regardless of the outcomes. We hope that you will be here because we appreciate all of you. We thank you for joining us and being with us as we go throughout the off season. Because we are always going to be saying, raise up.
Raise up.
Thank you for tuning into this presentation by RBLR Sports. On your way out of the stadium, please remember to like and subscribe.